Now that we have our Ann Normandy sewing pattern downloaded, we're going to go ahead and show you how to print it on your home printer. So you should go to your downloads folder where you have the Ann Normandy downloads folder and select the tiled version. That's the one you'll print at home. Now this opens up in Acrobat Reader. An Adobe Acrobat Reader, I have the Pro version, but Adobe Acrobat Reader is free for everyone to use. And it's the preferred PDF printer utility over other ones. So if you've used other ones in the past and you're having trouble with your Ann Normandy patterns, try the free Adobe one. It works really nicely and really well. So you notice when I came in here, I clicked on my page thumbnails. And inside this, you'll see everything necessary to print out your Ann Normandy sewing pattern. But most important, you'll see the cover, the selected layout, and how the pages are going to be attached together to make your full-size pattern when you print them out. And then you'll notice this 1x1 square here. This is really important. You should always print this page first and then measure the square to make sure it truly is 1x1 before you print out the remaining pattern pieces. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to print our pattern. And the first thing we want to check is our document fitting, shrinking, or actual size? Obviously fitting shrinks it down a little bit to fit on the paper you're using. Actual size prints it at actual size, and shrinking oversized pages scales it too. You want these to be printed at actual size. Now some printers have a tendency to cut things off in the bottom completely. It doesn't print the full thing. Your printer may vary, but it's still important to print it at actual size, even if you have to adjust this at the bottom of your pattern pieces when you put it together. So I've selected my printer, I've made sure it's actual size, I can go ahead and select print to print it out. It will print on individual pieces of paper, and then you can go ahead and tape them together much like you see in this diagram here. So the first piece, the second piece, and the third piece, and they're all lined up on these really nifty little arrows. And you'll see the arrows on every single pattern piece, so you know where to match up the corresponding piece next to it on the pattern. And when you're done, you're going to end up with two patterns that look exactly like this. And at that point, you can go ahead and cut out your paper pattern, lay it on your fabric, and cut out your fabric. It's that simple. You can have a tiled, printed pattern such as the Ann Normandy Design slip dress, tiled, printed, and assembled in probably under 15 minutes. And at that point, then you're free to use that pattern to do design alterations, to go ahead and just cut it out and be ready to sew. So in just a few minutes time, you have a sewing pattern that you can use again and again and again. Now a helpful tip, you might actually tape this pattern against a door wall, a front window, or some other glass surface so that you can see the markings through it. This isn't required, of course, but it does sometimes make it a little bit easier. And usually I do a temporary tape. That is, I use small pieces of tape when I'm first assembling. And then once I have everything cut out, I use full pieces of tape to secure all the pattern pieces together. And then my preference is I roll them and store them in a tall canister. But you don't have to do that either. Some people hang them from pant clips in a closet. There's lots of ways to store PDF sewing patterns, but one of my favorites is, of course, just to roll them and then label a piece of masking tape and stand it up in a tube holder. So that's the Ann Normandy slip dress. That's how you tile and print it. The really most important thing is that you print this page first to check the 1x1 square with the settings that you have for your printer. Once you're confident it's printing out to the right size, go ahead and print the remaining pieces of the pattern. In this case, this one doesn't have too many. There are actually 34 pages, and you can assemble this pretty quickly. Enjoy and happy sewing.